Yeah, let's start and we'll just accept people as they come. So today is our first community hour. I think Christophe and I really wanted to start having these hours to discuss with our community, show you a bit what we're building. Since we're doing everything open source, we really want to have everyone discuss with us on what to build and explain to you why we're building it. So this is the agenda for today. I think first we wanted to give you a bit of context of why we decided to build of how you can do context engineering for data with Now framework, and then talk more about the community, how you can test Now, how you can contribute and ask questions. And then at the end, we'll just do a Q&A. So the goal here is that you can ask any questions you want in the chat, and I think we're going to answer them at the end, if that's okay.
Yeah, it depends on the flow. It depends.
Or if it comes in the flow, we can answer them. Cool. So maybe I'll just can I? Yeah, I'm the one sharing. Okay.
Yeah, you're the one sharing.
Okay, so I'll just share the repo so we can all see what we're talking about. So this is what we're currently building, which is an open source framework to do analytics, agentic analytics. So maybe you know a bit about Now from before. We already created an ID for data, like an AI ID. And what we realized is that every data team was using it mainly for analytics, and that was the main topic that people wanted to actually do, is like agentic analytics. But we looked at the market. I did a benchmark of a lot of solutions, and there are a lot of solutions doing agents for analytics. So we kind of wondered what we could change on that market. And I think what we realized is that all the solutions that existed today were very black boxes, like it's many vendors trying to force you into their semantic layer or semantic views or context studio or whatever. And it didn't feel transparent. It didn't feel like, yeah, it feels like a lock-in for every data team. And in the other way, we saw that Cloud Code, Cursor were working well because it's a file system. You can put whatever you want in it. And that's what we wanted to reproduce. And that's also what we learned with Now, is that the file system is working really well. So that's why we decided to first go open source so that everyone can work on this framework together and contribute on it, and that it's not a black box for everyone. And then second, build it as a file system, like a file system context. And the goal here is really to create context engineering for data. So you have this file system, you can put whatever you want in it. We also have an evaluation framework, and the goal is that together you can build your context, evaluate it, and iterate to build the best context to build the best analytics agent. I don't know if you want to add some stuff, Christophe.
No, actually, it's you sum it up well, I would say. The thing that is super important, I would say, it's what is displayed on the screen here. We have like really two parts, and there are two parts in Now. The first part is this context engineering library, where you can define all the stuff, and I'm gonna do a small demo of it. And the second part is the agents and the UI, and both of these parts are open source. And the goal, yeah, is first to be transparent, so you can see the code, you can see what are the prompt, the system prompt, every prompt that we embed in the app. And the second part of the open source is also, it's more community-based, and thus that is what we want to do with like these community hours. Like this is the first one, so we're maybe gonna speak a lot, but the idea also in the future is that you can share what you can build with, what you have built with Now. We can, yeah, imagine whatever we want. The goal is like to discover stuff around agentic analytics altogether. And yeah, with the repo open source, this is like a good base to do this.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I think we'll get started with the demo.
Yeah.
I think the goal is to show you a first simple flow of how to use now from setting up a context to actually have an agent that anyone at the company can use.
So I'm gonna share my screen now. I guess you see my screen. Yes, you should.
Yeah.
So just to give you a bit more context, what we have is a repo. In order to install now, you can do pip install now core. We don't have like the now because someone took it before us. So it's pip install now core. So I did it beforehand, and now if I do now version in my terminal, I have the last version that is installed. And the first thing that you can do with now is now init. And when you do that now init, it's gonna ask for a project. Here I'm gonna do a demo with a movie from EMDB database, a movie dataset from EMDB database. I'm gonna set up a database connection. And here, just to give you more visibility, I have a dataset on GCP in BigQuery with already silver tables that I've already prepared beforehand with a DBT project from the raw data. And here, when I do the init, I can pick the connector that I want. So here it's BigQuery, but you see that we have more connectors, and we also have more coming. If you look at the pull request that we have already opened in the repo, I think it's ClickHouse and MySQL that are coming as well. So I add BigQuery. I set up like the name, BigQuery production. The project ID is this one because it's one that I've used for students. The default dataset that I'm gonna use gonna be Silver Christophe here. And I'm gonna connect to BigQuery using SSO. And here I'm okay with this only one database. And then I can, if I want, I can pick up other contexts. Here I can add if I want a Git repo. I will not add. I can set up a LLM, but I will not do it in front of the screen to not share like any API key. I've done it like in the env. I can set up also a Slack integration if I want my agent to be queryable from the chat, from Slack, my bad. I can set up also a Notion integration if I have like context in Notion, and the goal is to also connect to all the context from the company. I can set up MCP servers or skills, but yeah, this is...
There's a lot of options.
Yeah, we have a lot of options. And now what I've done is, okay, BigQuery can be connected. It found 8 table, and now I can move in the movie folder that have been created by the init, and I have also it's open in an ID. And here you can see that by default it's initialized the folder with some stuff. It reminds you maybe like DBT when you do a DBT init. And here I have a now config with all my database configuration that I've just set up. And that's all. And the next step that I can do now is now think, not now think, but now sync. And when I do now sync, what it will do is it will loop over all the context that I've set up in my YAML here and pull the context that will be needed for my agentic loop to run. And so here I have eight tables. So it's gonna create in the database folder a metadata folder for each table, so it can be discoverable for the agent. So for instance, here the table movie got think, and we have all the columns of the table movie. We have like a description. This description file gonna be like improved in the next release. We also have a preview. So this way, the agent, when it's gonna loop and look for data that it needs to answer a question, will be able to do some greps, ls, and stuff in the folder to try to answer the question. So the sync is now done, and now I can do now chat. And with now chat, it will start a UI that I can use to chat with my data. So if I go in the browser now, I'm the first user, so I can create an account. I will be the admin. So I've created an account. By default, I have like a OpenAI key, so I can chat with OpenAI. And here just to show you, we support OpenAI, Mistral, Anthropic, Google, OpenRouter, Olama, and also Bedrock. So, and we can add whatever you want. I can also like activate the transcription if I want to speak to my app. And here I can say how many movies Brad Pitt played in. And yeah, for this, what it will do, it will look at the data. So all the metadata that is in folders. And because everything is local in a file system, the search to the correct data is super fast because it just looks over the folders in the context folder that is local. It does not do like any call to BigQuery remotely. So it's super fast. And then it answers the question. And I guess it's the right answer. I don't know. The data can be like different because we have some filters in the data set as well. So I guess from the data, that's the right answer. As data people, we can also see the BigQuery query that have been executed, and we can also open. This is like something for the future, where we can have a proper SQL query editor that we can edit queries and loop around the query. We have also all the features that chats have, so you can like.
You can only say what's wrong.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, there is an issue, I guess. Okay, we'll fix later. So that's one thing. We also can draw some charts. So for instance, draw a chart of movies per year. And it should be able to do it. And yeah, we have like, oh yeah, that's cool, a line chart, but it's better bar charts, etc. So that's stuff that you are used to, but all the stuff that I've showcased is open source. You can use it super easily. I don't know if you think of something in this first example that I've shown.
No, I think we've done pretty much it. We can go to like the US features maybe.
Yeah. So in the recent weeks, we released like a really great feature that is the stories. So here, when I chat, I can have question, but at some points, I will do like, we think that the data analyst job is gonna shift. And this is maybe something that we can chat after in the Q&A and how you perceive like the evolution of the data analyst job. But we think it's gonna shift because most of the stuff that we do as data people when we look at the data is super linear. It's a chat conversation where we do prompts and then we deep dive and then we deep dive. And at some point we have like a long conversation. And from this conversation, we want to promote some outputs to a place that we can share this output to other people. And now we call it story or stories. And so, for instance, here I can say, create a story about Brad Pitt's acting career. And what it will do, it will, yeah, that's pretty fast. Actually, it could do like some other deep dives, but as in this conversation, there are like only a few charts. It's like a super simple story. You can take a conversation and promote it to a story. And here, the cool stuff is that you can either like create your story as half-half, or you can do it like more like you would do a dashboard. It's more like a full screen because you can create charts that are like full screen, but I can also say half, I would say one, how to say it, like using two calls, add a chart with the revenue, no, the average rating of Brad Pitt movie. I don't know if you will understand, but the goal is like to add a second chart close to this one with the average rating of Brad Pitt movies. And yeah, it's understood. And so that's something that is super cool. Like you can remodel the story as using the AI, but you can also use it with a Notion-like experience. So you can also write in this and edit it. You can move the blocks around if you want, and you can save it. And then we have like a version that is human done, but that the AI would be able to edit if you want. You can also see like the code of this story, and you can see it full screen. And the last thing is that you can share it to specific people in the project. I'm alone in the project, but or to the whole project, and all the people that are in your team or company will be able to see it. And once it has been shared, it's gonna show in the story tab here. Here I see only my stories, but if someone that doesn't have the story will be able to see it as a story that has been shared in the project. So yeah, this is like, I think, one thing that we discover with Now ID and the current version of Now is that the data exploration and the way we do data analysis is totally shifting towards English to deep dives, I would say. And at some point, you're going to promote some outputs to something that you want to share. And the story is this. At the moment, the stories are static. The stories are static, but we are working on making it live. So it refreshes as the data refresh. So yeah, that's one of the biggest features that we shipped in the last week. I don't know if there is something else that we want to
I
showcase.
think, yeah, I think that's the main feature we shipped, and yeah, we'll have many more in the next live.
And yeah, just to explain you a bit, also around how Now work, there is like all this context management and system prompt. So you can see it here when I'm in the conversation. You can see like how big the context is used. But there is stuff in Now that there is also like some kind of memory feature that's gonna take some space in the context. So for instance, if I say, my name is Christophe and speak to me in French, at some point, it should add in the memory that my username is Christophe. It doesn't understand that,
about French.
that it should speak to me in French, but it understood that my name is Christophe. And so this is super generic, but this is something that is super important in the data stuff as well, because when you do data stuff, there are some stuff that you forgot to put in the data model. And this feature of memory, the goal is a way to extract stuff that doesn't live yet in the data model, and that you can capture here. And at some point, you will be able to promote it to the data model or promote it to the context folder. And when I say promote it to the context folder is here in the context folder, I can, if I want, put stuff in the rules and say, speak to me in Spanish. And now if I speak again to the LLM, how are you today? He will answer in Spanish because like the rules is always like provided to the LLM. But if I want, I can create like new kind of markdowns here, whatever that markdown, and I can refer it from the rules. It's not in the folder. I can refer it from the rules, and the whatever that markdown will be browsable by the agents and reference and so on. So yeah, the goal is you have the agents, the UI, and all this context repository from where you can like play with the markdown, play with all the context. And this is just super flexible. You can do whatever you want. And we have like a framework, Now Test, that you can use to evaluate what you should put in this. And Claire is doing like a great work exploring all the possibilities that you can bring to the context folder, and what are like the go-to when it comes to building an agentic AI experience. If there are like any question around what we just show, don't hesitate to ask in the chats before we jump like just to the Now test. Yeah, Tanguy, go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, I was about to ask in the chat, as you wish. No, I just got a question. How do you decide what to inject as a context or not? Like, is it everything? Is there any kind of RAG or?
You mean technically like how the agent retrieves the context?
Basically, what is injected in the context when you do a query? Is it everything in the context folder or just selected bits? And imagine I have a 100 GitHub repos, a 1,000 table. How does it choose?
Yeah. So at the moment, the context folder, the way you could have a look at the system prompt, but just to explain you like very fast, we send to every prompt that you do the rules. Like the rules are always concatenated, and some kind of summary of the tree of this. Like we say, you have like one database connected, we have like X table in this, and so on. But we don't send all the files because it will be like a bit stupid, I would say, in a sense. It will like overflow the context way too fast. And then we prompted the AI agents to understand that he has the capacity to explore everything. And that's what happened here when I said how many movies Brad Pitt played in. Very fast, the agent was able to look in the folder, search like Brad, movie. Okay, he didn't find anything about Brad Pitt because Brad Pitt is not in the context files. It's like something that lives in the data, not in the metadata. And then he explored this and this. So he founded like a few tables. And then from the tables, he looked at the columns of the tables and so on. So what we learn is that it's way better to have like a lot of markdowns or a lot of files that are easily grepable, searchable as a file system. And then you let the agent orchestrate and decide what should go in the context. At the moment, there is no RAG because we think that the grep is way better in the current set of agents to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Seems like learnings from designing an IDE, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
Thanks.
So Christophe, the question is, can you unfold the semantics folder? Is it for editing the semantic layer?
Yeah. So in the semantics, there is nothing because I had nothing like in the now config related to the semantics. But here the goal is to integrate to every semantic layer that exists, whatever semantic layer means. If semantic layer is like just a YAML file from dbt look or whatever, or semantics that you yourself define as a YAML, because we think that in the semantic layer there are two parts. There is the semantic layer and the metric store. The metric store is an integration where you query stuff, so like a database, whereas the semantic layer is just like files that you define somewhere. And so here, it's not yet supported out of the box. So it's more like something that you will put in the repos or manually in the semantics. But the goal is that you can bring whatever semantics you have defined somewhere in this folder. So the AI agent understand and use the semantics in priority instead of the databases.
And Oscar was asking, how do you make sure that the memory of now only keeps the generic stuff and not project-specific infos?
Yeah. So at the moment, the memory is at the user level. And so the way we prompted the memory is it extracts user preferences in a sense. And project preferences could be extracted, but I think it's not going to be the default behavior. And the goal will be to have also some place where you have like project memories and where the admin can browse all the project memories that have been like guessed from the user's behavior that could be like promoted to the data model or the context folder.
And then Jim, so your question about can you kind of restrict what a user has in terms of permission on the data or the context? So this is not implemented yet. This is something that we have in the roadmap. So both some row-level security policies, but also maybe some permissions on the context system. So same as in your BI tool, you have permissions on tables. We'll do the same on context folders. So yeah, not yet, but it's going to come.
And just on this, the first thing that we added in terms of security is the agent is not able to run any queries by default that are not a select. So any insert, update, delete, whatever, like everything that is not select or will, which is a select, will not be able to be run by the agent, except if you activate this. So it's like a dangerous write permission. If you're like kind of crazy, you can do it. But by default, it's only select that can go through. So you are sure that at least that destroying your database. And in addition of this, you should only give like permission that are read-only. But for instance, I connected with my SSO, so my account is not read-only on the database. So sometimes it's better to have like 2 steps.
Yeah. And so the next question on if you have a dbt repository, do you want to move the files to other folder or leave it as is? I think honestly it doesn't change so much because anyway the agent is going to search with grep, so it's going to search for some keywords, and it doesn't really matter where the file is. Sometimes it actually does some lists, but I would say it's less frequent, so I think you don't need to do that.
Yeah, and really in dbt, there are stuff that we need to work on still, which is there are a lot of companies that does not have the description in the warehouses, like on the columns properly, but only on the YAML of dbt. And so here we have to work on how to reconciliate your data that is in the warehouse and the one that is in dbt in some way. So this is something that we are exploring in order like to make everything sense.
Next question is for you.
Yeah, have you considered adding sandbox env? Yes. So when
that's not released yet.
So actually, it's released. It's a work in progress, I would say. Here, it's another like environment that we use. So the goal is that as an admin, you can activate like Python sandboxing or sandboxes. And here the vision is by default, when you do the stuff, you think SQL. But if you just think SQL, it could increase the data warehouse cost. Or for some stuff, it's not feasible in the data warehouse. You want like to cache the data locally and do a Python transformation, scikit-learn, whatever. There are like a lot of stuff that you can do. And for this, we added like the possibility to do sandboxing and use sandboxes. I have, for instance, here like the Python sandboxes. And if I do like, can you run, I will just give you like a simple example at the moment, 1+1 in Python. Here, what the agent will be able to do is run this Python code in a sandbox that is totally isolated and that has only access to the context folder, the data that eventually you got as a SQL query just before. And that's all. And here we think that this is also the future where you let the agent work on some stuff, do data transformation, manipulate data, explore, whatever. It's like a lot of deep dives. And at the end, you either promote this Python code or you take the output and put it in a story. Like this is up to you, actually. We build like all the foundation, and after like you in the wild, you're going to be able to do whatever you want.
So I'm sorry for the data scientists to understand what users are asking chat. So this is something we started building in the admin panel. There's a view where you can see the feedbacks that were sent. So if your end user has given a good or bad feedback, that's the first step. And then something we're going to release in the next weeks is the chat replay, so that you can go through any chat that was done by your users, go see them as if you were the user and check if something has gone wrong or if the chat has given a wrong answer. So yeah, this is going.
And the goal also is to add some kind of process that score a conversation to help you understand what is the conversation that gone wrong or that is okay. So you have also a priority of the conversation that you have to look at.
And so for your question, Victor, so I think that's related to what Christophe was saying on memory. So for now, what happens is when a user the business owner gives a good piece of information to the agent, is going to be added in its own context. And we're thinking about a way where maybe the admin can see a personal context and promote it at the project level. So yeah, create this kind of feedback loop from business users to the whole project. Are there any more questions? I think I've seen some hands raised at some point, but maybe we've answered all questions.
I'll pass you the screen maybe if you want
Yeah,
to
let's,
showcase the now test.
Yeah. So because if we take a bit of a step back, the goal of this analytics agents is for data teams to deploy analytics agents to the rest of the company, and you want to make sure that it's going to be reliable. Because like we showed you the experience, like how it feels, etc. But first, you need to feel like you trust the agent before putting it in the hands of the whole company. And what we've seen is usually like data team do POCs. They have 5 business users like using the tool. They're not really sure about the reliability of this, so it never really scales. And what we want is for first you to have a first reliability measure, like theoretical measure of the reliability of your agent, and then keep on monitoring it by looking at what users actually do with the chat. And as Christophe showed you, like there's a lot of options you can put in the context. So how do you decide what you put in the context? That's actually a whole new practice I think we should learn how to do. And if I show you a bit the kind of analysis I started doing, I think the goal is really to say like, okay, I have this context. What is the reliability of my agent? What is the cost of my agent? What is the speed of my agent? And that's why we created a framework that is called Now Test. And basically what Now Test does is that you create unit tests of text to SQL basically. And then with the Now Test command, we send all these tests to the agent to get this KPI. So was the answer right? How much did it cost in terms of LLM? How much query was executed? And how long did it take? And so here what I did is I did a lot of tests. So first starting with no context at all. So I just let the LLM do a lot of queries to figure out what are the tables and answer the question. And you see like the reliability matrix is quite low. Like we have like 17 answers that are right. And then as you add the schema, as you add some DBT context in the repo, maybe you add a sample of your data, profiling, and then you add some rules that really kind of orchestrate or give some core rules about your business, some more business information to your agent. Then the precision becomes way better. So this is where you want to go. I think that's kind of similar as when you do data science and you have some objective that you want to improve, and then you fine-tune parameters to improve it. Here, I think in context is the same. You have your context and you need to tune it so that these KPIs improve.
I think Daria had the question, maybe really
Yeah.
what we, if you want to share.
Yeah, I have an ask. When you're done with this analysis, can you please share broadly? Because I'm, for example, trying to persuade end users that semantic model changed the outcome dramatically. So if I had these numbers coming from you rather than from me, I would just reference your authority.
Well, on semantics, the answer was not really good because like, so I did an analysis of like impact of semantic layer, and basically what I found out is that I got no answers. So like, yes, there were less errors, but then there was no answer. But I mean, to be honest, like I didn't work so much on the semantic that I tested. Like I really just generated it quite with an LLM and got this results. But so the first thing that it says is that if you want to implement a semantic layer, it's going to take a lot of time, because right now with my simple first shot, it doesn't answer any question. It's very costly because it does a lot of cool tool calling. So yeah, I think.
Yeah, but here it's just the use case with like DBT MCP, like semantics in a broader sense.
That's true.
Could help.
This test was with metric flow plus the DBT MCP. So yeah, that's honestly for me that's still something to prove.
Yeah, but still, if you want to get like all the this, it's an article that we have on the blog. Maybe we can share it like in the chat so you can have a look at it.
I will show you the article. Does that answer your question? No, not so much.
in a way. I was running your tool this morning with DBT-MCP and semantic model behind it. But I'm in a very niche area EV charging, and specifically EV charging reliability metrics, and I just like the results. Well, I will take a look at your article too.
And
Thank you.
I think the conclusion of this article that I sent is that this is the result that we got in our context, which is we are startups, we have 12 data sets. So it's not going to be the same answers for a company with 100 data sets. And that's why we built this framework, is because our answer is going to be different than your answer. So the goal is that everyone gets, the tailored context for their specific use case or situation.
And just to precise, 12 data sets in the marks, not 12 data sets like around
the
the data
in
model.
the silver layer.
Like at the end.
And maybe I'll just show you a bit how it's working effectively in the experience. So concretely, what I did is I defined 40 unit tests of a question and the SQL to answer it. So for example, what's the amount of churn errors this month? And here I write the SQL that me as a data analyst, I would have written. So this is all YAML, quite simple to write. And then when I launched the now test comments, so I launched a bunch of comments today. So yeah, it's just going to send to the LLM the question. And then the LLM is going to give a first answer. And then we're going to compare the data output of the LLM to the one that we get by executing the truth query. So it's really a data diff. It doesn't matter which SQL was written. We just want to make sure that the output data is the right one. And so at the end, I have a table with all the metrics. So for each test, if the answer was right or not, the cost, etc. And then we also have now a test server interface where we can see for each test what happened, like what was understand why the agent has gone wrong. And that's going to be the subject of my next article next week. I think the loop that you're going for is you build your unit tests and you run now tests. This way you have a first baseline of, okay, my first context shot is 20% reliability. And then you look at the failed test to understand why is the agent failing. Maybe it's a documentation that's missing. Maybe it's like there are two fields with the same name that don't have the same content. So by understanding the failures, you can work on improving the context. And then by doing that, you get a better reliability.
Can you give a teaser of the bump that you got?
Yeah, I can give a teaser. So I'll share my Looker Studio, which is the underneath of all that. But so basically, like the follow-up of the first study is at the end of the first study, I had 45% of reliability, which is not good enough to put in the hands of business users. So I went to see the mistakes the agent was doing. And then I fixed everything that was wrong in the context. So maybe documentation was missing. I had some fields that were kind of similar. That could be source of truth. There were several source of truth for one metric. So I fixed everything. And at the end, I get to 86% of reliability. And I even decreased the costs and the time to answer. And so every time you see the step, this is just a data update because I did the former test 1 month ago. So fix some format in the text, give some more indication of how to select dates to the agent, then add some documentation on the existing data model. And the biggest bump is actually fixing the data model itself, because many of their errors were that I have MRR columns in 3 different tables, or I'm asking the agent to guess a column that doesn't exist. And this was creating a lot of errors. So yeah, that was a great step-by-step work to really get a good, reliable level. And I think when you're at 86% reliability, it's still very theoretical. I think for me, it's a good result to give it in the hands of users, and then you keep on monitoring. Maybe you put some chats of users, like real chats of users, in your test sets, and you keep on enriching your tests, and maybe put in the now test command in CI/CD so that it's monitored in the long run.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of numbers. Maybe we'll stop there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just so maybe one word before going to the Q&A. Yeah, we'll do some next events, because the goal is really for us to have a lot of time to catch up with you, and also like to create a community around these topics, because I think what we want to see is how you do analytics and agents, how you do context engineering, how you experiment with the now test framework. So sharing with the community what you do with it is what will make us go forward. Like maybe Daria, you're going to find out that the semantic has greatly improved your agents, and we want to know that. Like I want to have some people telling me I'm wrong. Like that would be great. So next event, we're going to do a next community hour in 2 weeks. Then a meetup in San Francisco, 24th of March, and a Paris meetup end of March. We'll be sharing more details around that, but a lot of things then.
Yeah. Cool. And so if you have like other questions or stuff that you want to share, like either like in chat or feedbacks, whatever the goal of this community hour is, we took the lead to share stuff and give you like, we don't know yet if you try now or not, but it creates like some kind of overview of the project. But if you have like features that you want, or if the stuff that we showed you like give you idea about what should be data analytics in 2026, what should be like agentic analytics, the idea is also to brainstorm all together and find where we're going as data evolve.
One message from Florian.
Yeah.
Best notice. Didn't manage to have a good grade. Well, you need to go check what was failing in your test, Florian.
We can send you like, because maybe you didn't say, but there is a simple UI that you can launch with now test serve that will give you all the debugging information around your test, so you understand what failed and or you can like improve around like the tests.
Yeah. And maybe also we didn't show more like how you can know more about what we're doing and interact with us. So first, in our GitHub, we have our roadmap that we wrote. If you go into issues and then milestones, you're going to find the roadmap that we created for the next 4 months. So basically, one milestone is 1 month. So we are currently in the milestone 0.1.0, which is due by end March. So this is what we're going to release this month. So we talked a bit about it, live stories, share chats, pick elements in context, these kind of things, and so on for the next 3 months. And so in the next 3 months, we're going to also do some things about deploying in Now Cloud, some more enterprise features like the role level security, permissions and context, these kind of things. So yeah, we can check it out here. And you can also request some features in the issue section. And yeah, of course, you can contribute to the repo. Like I think I have like 30 contributors or something. Yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of pull requests from the community. You can actively contribute to the repo. And the last thing is that we also have a Slack community. I think you can find the link here in the repo. And that's where you can discuss, like give feedbacks, ideas. We're also very reactive on Slack there. I think that's all for the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the priority features currently needed? Well, that's up to you to tell. You know, like we have our first proposition. I think one big one was about the stories, because we really wanted data team to be able to share their work, and I think that was the feature that was missing. And yeah, then the sandboxing, I think, is one of the big features to come.
Yeah, we are working on this. And then after, so there is something that you might have seen is when you launch Now, it works only with one context folder at the moment. And the vision on the long term is that it can work with multiple context folders. For instance, like if you're in your organization, you have like maybe multiple domains, or I don't know, the idea of context folder could be something that you decide what goes inside one context folder or in another. But this is one of the biggest feature we're gonna release in the next months, because we want to be multi-tenant. We want people to be able to be at organization level and have like multiple kind of projects within Now. But yeah, after, I would say when it comes to community, the thing that is the easiest to start with are integration to other systems. So new databases connection, new kind of underlying
Context,
MCP, context
providers as well.
Because for instance, at the moment for data knowledge, we only connect to Notion, but at some point it's gonna be good to connect to Jira, Confluence, Linear, whatever, all the stuff that exists. So that's something that is framed in a sense, all these context integrations. So if you want to contribute on this and it's in your enterprise context, don't hesitate to do it. And yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Any other question, or maybe if you have some feedbacks on this hour, like something you would have to see more, or yeah, some ideas for next time. No.
Then we're good, I guess.
Yeah, and so yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach out on Slack, on LinkedIn, GitHub. Like we'll answer. So speak soon then.